Welcome to another episode of Tree Talk in the treehouse at the bottom of my garden on a very cold February afternoon. But a very warm welcome to Tim Gwyn Clay. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you very much for having me.
Really excited about this because I don't know you very well.
No.
I know you a little bit, but I don't know you very well. But how do we describe you? Do you want to describe yourself?
There have been many descriptions of me, but I suppose what could actually be printed, what could be published. I suppose nowadays I describe myself as a druid, and I like to also think of myself in terms of being a healer, public speaker, rune reader, celebrant. Turn me out to anything, really.
But you haven't always been a druid, have you?
No, I well.
So what were you?
For 20 years I was
a tea?
I would love one, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, 20 years I was a vicar in the Church of England. Up until end of 2015.
Okay.
But recently, yes, my path has somewhat changed from that.
What makes somebody change their faith/job?
Well, the thing is, it's going to sound odd, but I've always been a pagan.
Okay.
When I was a small child, I would always admire a woman who keeps a spoon in her pocket.
Keep a spoon in my pocket.
I've always read, and when I was a small kid, I loved stories. I've always loved stories. And the first stories I really enjoyed reading were the Greek myths and legends. The stories of all those kind of things, and the fantastic tales there. And I always enjoyed those. And when I started, as you do when you start looking at things like the Bible as well, I always enjoyed the Old Testament.
Right.
Because in the Old Testament, you know, you've got people dividing seas, and you've got begatting, and you've got smiting, and you've got all that kind of stuff going on. The exciting stuff. As opposed to this bloke.
Water into wine.
Well, yeah, I mean it's a neat trick, but when you're sort of 7 and not really into drink, it's just some bloke wandering about telling everybody to be nice to each other, which is, you know, compared to sort of, you know, Samson slaying people with the jawbone of an ass is not that exciting really. So that kind of side, the story side of things always appealed. Okay. And through my teens I started thinking more about other sort of religions, and 17 I bought Ray Buckland's The Tree, which is his book of Siak's Wicca. Been republished nowadays as the Handbook of Anglo-Saxon Witchcraft.
Oh, okay.
That was my very, very first book, and sort of looking at paganism.
Yeah.
Moving on a few years, quite a few years, I was about 25, 26, and I've just got married. And part of that process was engaging with the whole process. My wife's Christian, and engaging with that process and wanting to be serious about the commitments I was making made me think about that. And over time, I suppose of a couple of years, I kind of decided I got it. I got the idea and thought, well, if I'm going to do this, let's make a proper commitment to it. And ended up talking myself into training to be a vicar. Things you do once you've been admitted, however, to be a vicar.
Well, that's a big commitment.
It is a huge commitment. It's the sort of commitment where you sell your home.
Yeah, really.
Because, well, you know,
to go and live in a vicarage.
To go and live in a vicarage, or at this point, theological college. And I went up to train in Lincoln. So you've sold your house. Yeah. You've uprooted your family. Yeah. You've got a brand new daughter, who you're now moving these people around. And if you suddenly go halfway through the process, you know what, I think I've made a hideous mistake.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure where I am with all of this.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of push through. And, you know, I've got no complaints because, as I say, for 20 odd years I made a very good living out of it.
Yeah.
Some people may not agree, but, you know, I think I was actually quite good at it. But really from quite early on in my ministry, as I say, while I was still at theological college, I suddenly realised I was still being very ambivalent towards the whole idea, principally of monotheism.
Which is one God.
Just the one God.
Yeah.
When it's hard when you kind of realise, even if at the time you're still possibly acknowledging one God principally, but you're sure in your bones that there's a lot more than just one God. You know, if you're instinctively a polytheist, which I guess I am, it starts getting a bit tricky. And that kind of gets trickier over the years. And yeah, I mean, I'm more than the accusation of being a hypocrite, because I think I was. But at the same time,
you're a heretic.
Well, that's definitely that, because there were times when I'm blessing someone in the name of the Lord.
Yeah. And
yeah, they may be understanding in that one way, and I'm understanding it in an entirely different way. So and then, end of 2015, I don't know, call it midlife crisis or what. I had by this time encountered a goddess called Andraste.
Right.
And she'd been lurking about for a while. And I'd also just gone through the process of taking my Reiki Attunements. So, yes, qualified Reiki practitioner as well. And the person I was going through this process with was a friend at the time. And we were, when you're having your... Have you had Reiki Attunements done?
I'm a Reiki master.
Indeed.
Yep.
Well, you know what it's like then.
I do, yeah.
So we were there, and we were, and having the done.
Yeah.
And, she was getting visions and
colours
and all this and that and the other, and I'm sitting there going, well, if I'm honest, and I've got my eyes closed, I'm getting that's a bit like the Northern Lights, but that's it.
That's it.
So, okay.
It wasn't an all singing and all dancing attunement then?
No, to be fair, until the third one, until I had my my master attunement, and then I'm in this black space and there's a spiral staircase, and this figure of a woman comes down this spiral staircase, and not a word is said, but looks at me, and the implication there is follow me, and I know it's Andraste, and I've been following her ever since.
And Tim, what can you tell me about Andraste? Because I know very little about her, only that she's a British goddess. Wasn't she the one that was invoked by Boudica to fight the Romans?
At the beginning, she's very much seen in terms of being that Norfolk Suffolk. She is the goddess of the Iceni, which is Boudica's people. And they were very much centred Norfolk into Suffolk and into Cambridgeshire, so that sort of Fens, the Broads, all around that sort of area.
Yeah.
The story is that, as you know, Boudica's husband died.
Yeah.
He, in attempting to preserve his legacy, did what was normal. He divided his kingdom between Rome, because of the Roman overlords at the time, and his wife. That was entirely the normal common practice. Yeah. The governor in this particular area was a bit full of himself, decided he wasn't having that, he was having a lot. It's very rich arable farmland. It is now, it was then. It's becoming part of the breadbasket, certainly Britannia, if not part of the western part of the empire. So he decided to take a lot, and he didn't just take it, he ritually humiliated Boudica. So she was publicly flogged, and her two daughters were raped. Right, yeah, I remember. So there is a suggestion. How strong a suggestion is, open to debate. But there is a suggestion that Boudica was a priestess of her goddess, because Boudica could be seen as a title in terms of being a warrior priestess. And Andraste herself, the name means victory, or the unconquered one. So Andraste didn't take it laying down. Boudica didn't take it laying down.
No.
She rallied the tribes around her. It's another thing possibly about Boudica being priestess, the fact that she was able to gather so many different people together. And at the very start, before they started the campaign against Rome, at this great meeting, huge speech, which is recorded by Roman writers later on, and then she's said to have done, having finished invoking and talking to Andraste, her goddess, she does this thing where she allows a hair to escape from her cloak as a form of divination, seeing which way the hair would run would be whether or not they were going to be successful or not.
Yeah.
The hair ran in a propitious direction, and off they all went, and managed to destroy Colchester, London, and St Albans before the Romans. The mistake they made was meeting the Romans in open battle. They got overconfident, and end of the day, they may well have outnumbered the Romans 3-1, but they were Celtic warriors who basically fought with nothing on to a large extent.
Slaughtered, weren't they?
And the Romans were professional soldiers. And I'm sorry, you don't fight that sort of battle, against a well-armed army like that.
You now have taken on the faith of...
Well, I'm kind of now. I've come out the closet, I suppose. Yeah. Actually, come out the broom closet is kind of the way I'd say. I've not converted because it's kind of what I've been for a very, very long time. Yeah. I think they'd possibly genuinely say that I was a Christian and believed it with all my heart, probably for a couple of years, and then just came back to realising where my heart truly lies. Yeah.
So can we talk about, with that in mind, being a Christian and being a pagan and really, that's the core of you, what do you think about patriarchy versus matriarchy?
I think
versus hierarchy.
Issues. The issue, I think, is hierarchy.
Yeah, it's the kind of main...
because...
where it all comes from, isn't it?
You've got... Let's think for a sec. Yeah, the problem is hierarchy. Now, you can have a hierarchy which is patriarchal, you can have a hierarchy that is matriarchal. And the difference, I think, is one where you've got one group of people, and it could be white people over people who are of different colour. It could be black people over the people of a different colour. It could be men over women. It could be women over men. It can be straight people over gay people. Anything where people are using a form of a dualism to say, because you're that, we're better than you. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, what's been used over time has been religion has been used to reinforce particular ways of thinking about people.
It's divisive, isn't it?
It is. There's loads of reasons for that. Partly it's because in the very early days of Christianity, particularly, and it's not just Christianity, there's a degree to which it's in all of the Abrahamic religions. Okay. So, within Christianity, Islam and Judaism. But it's an issue with the Dharmic religions of Hinduism and Buddhism as well, but slightly different in a sec. So because of the ways in which Christianity picked up not only some of the stuff in terms of Jewish traditions towards the outward way in which women relate in society. There it's a very different thing between how women are within the home and how women are outside the home. They picked up on some of that because, let's face it, most of the founders of Christianity were Jewish. But very early on it got picked up, excuse me, it got picked up alongside Neoplatonism, which has a very dualistic view of life. That the material world is bad, the spiritual world is good. And that's actually something that picks up very much in Buddhism and Hinduism to a degree, insofar as, the material world is bad. We need to escape this veil of tears either by nirvana or through going to heaven, however that's envisaged, because then we're escaping. Now, if you can convince people that the world they're living in is bad, the way they live is bad, but you're the only way they can get to the place which is good, you have a huge amount of power.
Yeah.
That then
the church.
That then combines. But then it gets better, because that then combines through Constantine, when Christianity became the official religion of the Roman Empire. And Christianity worked really hard to get there. It's not just about Constantine having a vision and sort of plucking this one particular group. Christianity lobbied really hard, and to do that, they'd made themselves as acceptable to Roman society as they possibly could. Now, Roman society, to a degree, was deeply misogynistic, and the ways in which women were treated and regarded, you know, if you weren't a Vestal Virgin, you had virtually no autonomy whatsoever. Far less so than what we complain about women in some Islamic states nowadays. Hold over again from Greek side. That Greco-Roman society really wasn't particularly woman-friendly at all. And certainly the rights of women that women had within Jewish society, far more than they had within Roman society. But to become acceptable to the Roman establishment, the church took all of that over lock, stock and barrel. So in a sense, they came this kind of almost like perfect storm of enforcing a particular worldview, which, not just women, but slaves, because Christianity was never particularly against slavery. It was just seems part of the order, because if this world is rubbish and to be escaped, well, you know, you're a slave. That's just your lot in life, you know, ordained by God. So you stay where you're put. And so all of those things in terms of social control, which realistically is quite politically, it's always been favoured as a way of enforcing particular types of social control. Yeah. Which, to be fair, I mean, you can still see in places like, you know, parts of America in the present day, where it's, you know, that particular forms of fundamental evangelical Christianity are still going through those same really stilted, sad old ways of trying to control people.
Yeah. Look at Tibet.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But then you've got, so that's the Abrahamic religions. The Dharmic religions, there's issues there around nihilism as well, because again, you get that problem with, if this life is a lie, you know, life is suffering, First Noble Truth of Buddhism. If, you know, we are to escape Maya, in terms of Hinduism, the illusion of life, we're seeking moksha, or we're seeking nirvana. What on earth would you want to? So again, it's all very much life denying, body denying, it's sensuality denying, and in many ways it's not actually the middle way that we preach. But that's by the by. So all of those things enhance a form of whereby men, to a degree, have forced themselves into positions of control. Right. However, that's not to say... Do you think that's
changing?
I think so, but what I worry about is the Margaret, what you could call the Margaret Thatcher effect, and I shall explain that.
I was going to say, she's not a goddess, is she?
I think, I mean, there's some may say, but it was that whole thing where, because she was trying to achieve success within a male world, as she perceived it, she therefore came to, I think there's a degree to which you could argue, there's that whole thing of almost becoming more male than the males. You know, it's almost a case of, well, I'm going to prove I've got a bigger pair of balls than all of you. Yeah. And so there's that way in which women can in a sense, can completely adopt the mannerisms and the power structures that they see around them and dominate them and just become part of that. Or what you can see is everything that's masculine is rejected. And, you know, we can see that, and this is one of the problems, one of the issues possibly for paganism. for within some areas of paganism where women completely, for want of a better phrase, denigrate men. Men are the oppressors. Men are there to be. Men are put us down first. Tell you what, we'll put them down first. And so.
And why those wonderful goddesses like the Morrigan were seen as, you know.
Well, the Morrigan's a wonderful goddess, and she's a strong goddess, and she is a passionate goddess, and I can absolutely understand why so many women are attracted to her, and why she's accepting so many women into her service. But let's not forget one of the great stories of the Morrigan is when she meets the Dowser at the ford.
Yeah.
We may not go into all the details of that encounter. We may have viewers of a nervous disposition, but yeah, the magic they create there is magic they create together, and not a magic they couldn't have created separately.
No, that's right. Yeah.
It is them coming together, if you pardon the phrase, that actually causes that to happen. And I think one of the things that certainly I'm involved in at the moment is actually looking at ways in which we can proclaim, celebrate, and show that balance between the divine in terms of male and female.
Yeah.
So that there is the Morrigan and the Dowser, there is Shiva and Kali, there is Andraste. For me, it's Andraste and Gwyn, who's the Lord under Glastonbury Tor, because he's my personal male deity, and it's showing them working together. One's not superior to the other. That actually you're looking at ways in which the whole act of creation or acts of creation or acts of love, and that takes both of us, and took both of them. And as a pagan community, actually perhaps one of the things we could be doing is actually exploring and showing that commonality, rather than possibly in some places where you're just replacing a dictatorial male deity with a dictatorial female deity.
Okay, we could talk about that for hours, or you could talk about it for hours.
Oh, don't trust me, I can bore on for that.
Thank you very much, everybody, and ta-ta for now.
Thank you very much, bye-bye.